The jungle was alive with sound. Birds called from high branches, insects buzzed through the thick air, and the steady rush of a river echoed in the distance. Lena stood among the towering trees, brushing sweat from her forehead as she studied the crumbling stones before her. The excavation had lasted for weeks, and most of the team believed they would find nothing but broken walls and forgotten relics. But today was different. Today, something truly ancient had been uncovered. Ravi, the team's linguist, knelt beside a stone slab half buried in the soil. He brushed away dirt with careful strokes, revealing lines carved into the surface. Tomas, their guide, stood nearby, machete in hand, watching the jungle as though expecting it to move closer. Lena joined Ravi, kneeling beside him to see the carvings. At first they looked like patterns, but as the dirt fell away, shapes began to form. Serpents curling around the edge, feathers spreading like wings, and a long winding path marked by symbols of stars. "This is not just decoration," Ravi said in a quiet voice. "It is a map." Lena leaned closer. She could see the detail in the work, despite the stone's age. The lines were clean, sharp, almost as if time had no power over them. The serpent's eyes were set with tiny fragments of gold that still caught the sunlight. She felt her chest tighten. The Maya were known for their temples and glyphs, but this stone spoke of something greater, something meant to last for centuries. "What does it say?" Lena asked. Ravi traced the carvings with his finger. His brow furrowed as he studied the old language. "It speaks of a tomb, a resting place for the feathered serpent. It says treasures of gold lie within, but the gold is not for men. It is for the one who comes from the sky." Thomas shifted uneasily and spat into the grass. "The old stories speak of the sky god. My grandfather said the Maya built great temples to honor him. They said he descended from the heavens on wings of fire." Lena listened, her eyes still on the stone. She had heard such tales before, passed down through generations, told as myths to explain the past. But myths often hid truths. The Maya were skilled observers of the stars, builders of great cities, and keepers of knowledge that still puzzled the world today. What if this was more than a story? The team carefully lifted the slab from the ground, revealing more symbols beneath. Together they pieced the fragments into a larger image. A great pyramid stood at the center, surrounded by rivers and mountains carved in stone. At its base, a serpent coiled with feathers spread wide, and at its top a circle shone with rays like the sun. "It shows the way," Ravi said. His voice trembled with both fear and excitement. "The map points to a place deep in the jungle, far from here, a tomb sealed by the Maya themselves. And here." He tapped the circle above the pyramid. "This is the promise. It says, when the serpent awakens, the sky god shall return. The gold must be given or the heavens will burn." The words hung heavy in the air. Even the jungle seemed to fall silent for a moment, as if listening. Lena's heart pounded. She wanted to dismiss it as superstition. Yet the carvings had a clarity that demanded belief. Why would the Maya hide such warnings in stone unless they meant to be remembered? The day wore on as they continued their work, documenting every detail. The sun slipped lower and shadows stretched across the camp. Thomas lit a small fire, and the three of them sat close as night fell. The jungle never slept, and strange cries carried through the darkness. The tablet rested on a wooden stand beside them, glowing faintly in the firelight as though alive. Lena could not take her eyes from it. "If this tomb exists and if the gold is still there, it will be the greatest discovery of our lives," she said. "Or the end of them," Thomas muttered, staring into the flames. Ravi shook his head. "You think it is cursed?" Thomas's eyes narrowed. "Not cursed, guarded. The Maya did not write warnings without reason. My people say the sky god came once long ago. He demanded tribute. Gold crops even people. When the tribute stopped, he vanished. Some say he sleeps beneath the earth waiting." The fire crackled. Lena felt the weight of Thomas' words pressing on her. Yet her curiosity burned brighter than her fear. The idea of finding a tomb untouched for centuries, of discovering treasures and knowledge hidden by time, was too powerful to resist. "We must follow the map," Lena said at last. Her voice was steady, though her hands trembled slightly in the firelight. "If there is truth in these carvings, we will uncover it. If it is only a story, then we will prove it false. Either way, history will remember." Ravi nodded slowly. "Then tomorrow we begin the journey." The jungle hissed and whispered around them as if in answer. Above, the stars glimmered through the canopy. Lena tilted her head back, following their light. She wondered if the sky god still watched, waiting for the tomb to be opened once more. Sleep came slowly that night. The map's serpent eyes seemed to glow in the dark, golden and unblinking. Lena dreamed of wings of fire tearing across the sky, and of a voice deep as thunder calling her name. The morning sun rose like a golden crown above the jungle. Mist clung to the trees, weaving soft ribbons between branches, and the calls of howler monkeys echoed across the valley. Lena rose early, already restless from dreams that refused to fade. The map's image was burned into her thoughts, the serpent, the feathers, the shining circle at the pyramid's peak. She felt a pull, as though something beyond human hands had placed it in her path. Ravi packed carefully, rolling papers filled with sketches and notes. He moved with the focus of someone who knew that every detail might matter later. Thomas sharpened his machete with slow strokes, the sound crisp in the still air. His eyes were distant, watching the trees as if he sensed something moving there. By midday, they left the camp behind. The jungle closed around them like a living wall. Thick roots twisted underfoot. Vines curled from every direction, and the air grew heavy with the smell of earth and damp leaves. Thomas led the way, clearing a narrow path with each swing of his blade. Behind him, Lena carried her pack with determination, while Ravi muttered observations about plants, stones, and the strange patterns of animal tracks. The deeper they went, the darker it became. The canopy overhead blocked most of the sunlight, turning the air into green shadow. Lena noticed how silent it grew. The calls of birds faded, the insects no longer buzzed so loudly, and even the river seemed far away now. "Thomas," Lena whispered, "why is it so quiet?" He paused, scanning the trees. His brow furrowed. The animals know when a place does not belong to them. We are entering ground that has been avoided for generations. Look around. You will see no footprints but ours, Lena shivered. Yet the thrill of discovery kept her feet moving. She reminded herself that the greatest finds were always hidden in the most difficult places. Hours passed and sweat ran down their backs. The ground became steeper, climbing toward hills that loomed above the forest. Along the slope they found stone fragments half buried in moss. Broken carvings of serpents and stars appeared like silent guides. Lena touched one, feeling the grooves beneath her fingers. The stone was old, but the lines were as sharp as those on the tablet. It was proof they were on the right path. Ravi crouched beside another fragment and translated aloud. Here it says, "The path of feathers rises where shadows gather. The serpent guards the way. Only the brave may pass." Thomas frowned. "It is not a welcome." "It is a warning." Still they climbed. At the top of the hill the trees parted, and the team looked down into a wide gorge. The gorge was narrow and deep, its sides covered with jagged stone. Across it, far on the other side, Lena saw the faint shape of a pyramid hidden under centuries of growth. Her breath caught. It was not imagination. The tomb was real, but between them and the pyramid lay the gorge, dark and silent like an open wound in the earth. "We must cross," Lena said firmly. They searched along the edge until they found a fallen tree stretched across the gap, its trunk thick and strong. Thomas tested it first, balancing with care as he moved across. The wood groaned under his weight but held. One by one they crossed, hearts pounding as the gorge yawned below. Ravi nearly slipped, and Lena grabbed his arm just in time, pulling him to safety. When they reached the other side, they stood together, breathing hard, staring at the pyramid that rose before them. It was immense, even under vines and roots. Stone steps climbed high, vanishing into the canopy above. Birds circled near its peak, their cries sharp and unsettling. Gold glimmered faintly between cracks in the stone, as though the pyramid itself had veins of metal. "This is it," Lena whispered. The tomb of the feathered serpent. As they approached, the air grew colder. The jungle, which had seemed heavy with heat, now carried a chill that raised goosebumps on their skin. Strange carvings lined the pyramid's base, showing figures kneeling before a serpent that stretched toward the sky. Above the serpent, a shining circle was etched, almost like a sun, but marked with unfamiliar symbols. Ravi bent close, studying them. "These are not simple Mayan glyphs. They are older, or perhaps from somewhere else. I have never seen such markings." Thomas gripped his machete tighter. "This place is wrong. We should not linger." But Lena could not turn back. She climbed the first step, her hand brushing the cool stone. A vibration thrummed beneath her palm, faint but real, as if the pyramid had a heartbeat. She froze, her breath caught in her throat. The stone was alive. Did you feel that? She asked. Ravi placed his hand on the wall and pulled back quickly. Yes, the stone is humming. The sound was too low to hear, but they felt it in their bones. It pulsed slowly like the rhythm of a drum. Lena stepped higher and the hum grew stronger. The pyramid was not just stone. It was something more, something waiting. At the base of the stairway, a new carving appeared, freshly exposed where vines had fallen away. It showed a serpent coiled around a circle, its mouth open wide. Inside the circle lay a figure with wings of fire. Beneath it was written, "The one who returns will claim the gold and the world will know his power once more." The three stood silent, the jungle pressing close around them. Lena's heart raced, yet her voice was steady when she spoke. "This is what we came for. Tomorrow we enter." Night fell quickly in the jungle, swallowing the pyramid in darkness. 1,000 unseen eyes seemed to watch them as they set camp near the base. The stars above shimmered unnaturally, shifting in ways Lena had never seen before, as if they too were moving along the path of the serpent. The journey into shadow had only begun. The night was long and restless. The jungle sang with strange noises, but around the pyramid the sounds were different. Sometimes it was a low hum in the air, sometimes a soft rattle like scales brushing stone. Lena lay awake by the campfire, staring at the shadowed shape of the great steps rising into the canopy. She felt the pyramid watching them, as if it knew they had arrived. When dawn broke, the light fell across the pyramid like a golden sheet. Birds returned to the trees, but they did not settle on the stone. They circled above it, screeching, then vanished deeper into the jungle. Tomas noticed first and muttered, "Even the birds will not land here." Lena rose with determination. "Then we will climb where they cannot." Ravi frowned as he packed his bag of notes. "We should be careful. There are warnings everywhere. The glyphs spoke of danger and the air itself feels heavy with it." Thomas shook his head. "Warnings or not, she will climb and I must follow. If we turn back now, this journey means nothing." Together they began their ascent. The steps were steep, carved from massive blocks, each worn by time yet still strong. Vines clung to the stone and golden cracks gleamed faintly between them, catching the morning light. As they climbed higher, the hum Lena had felt the night before grew stronger. It was not just under her hand now. It was under her feet, in her chest, pulsing like the slow beat of a drum. Halfway up, Ravi stopped to catch his breath. He pressed his hand against the wall and gasped. "It is moving," he whispered. Lena and Thomas turned. At first the stone seemed still. Then they saw it, a faint ripple running through the carvings as though the serpent etched in the wall was alive. Its eyes gleamed with golden light, faint but unmistakable. "The tomb is not dead," Thomas said. His voice was heavy, not with fear alone but with respect. When they reached the top, they found a wide platform. At its center stood a doorway sealed with a massive slab of stone. The slab was carved with the image of the feathered serpent, wings spread wide, fangs bared. At its chest was set a circle of pure gold, brighter than anything Lena had ever seen. Ravi knelt to study the glyphs around the door. His fingers traced the symbols slowly. "It says, to awaken the tomb, offer the breath of fire and the hand of courage. Step forward and the path shall open." Lena frowned. "Breath of fire?" Before Ravi could answer, Tomas struck his machete against the golden circle. Sparks flew, lighting the surface with a glow that spread across the slab. Lines of light traveled like rivers racing across the carvings. The hum became a deep vibration, rising until the whole pyramid seemed to shake. The golden circle burned brighter. Then with a sound like thunder, the stone slab slid aside. Dust and fragments fell, and a wave of cold air swept over them. The doorway yawned open, revealing a dark passage leading down into the heart of the pyramid. A strange smell drifted out, metal and ash mixed with something older, almost sweet. Lena stepped forward, holding a torch. Its light spilled across the walls, revealing more carvings. Serpents, stars, and winged figures danced across the stone. They were not just drawings. They shimmered faintly, as if touched by hidden fire. Inside, the passage descended steeply. The air grew colder and the hum became a constant rhythm, like a living heartbeat. The sound filled their heads, pressing against their thoughts. Ravi stumbled once, gripping the wall for balance. "It is speaking," he whispered. "Not in words I understand, but in feeling. It is calling." The tunnel opened into a vast chamber. The ceiling rose so high that their torchlight could not reach it. Golden walls reflected their flames, making the chamber glow as though filled with sunlight. At the center stood a massive structure, an altar of stone and gold shaped like a coiled serpent. Its head rose high, mouth open wide, fangs gleaming. Above the altar hung a crystal sphere suspended by nothing, glowing faintly with shifting colors. Each pulse of light matched the hum that filled the chamber. The heart of the tomb, Lena breathed. Ravi approached the altar, his hands trembling. He studied the glyphs carved into its surface. This is not a place of rest. It is a machine. The Maya built it to guard something, or perhaps to power something. The gold is not treasure, it is fuel. As if in answer, the sphere above them flared brighter. A beam of golden light shot upward, striking the ceiling and beyond, piercing the sky itself. The ground trembled, dust falling from unseen heights. Thomas raised his machete. You have awakened it. The chamber filled with sound, a deep rumble that was not only heard but felt in their bones. The walls seemed to shift, the carvings of serpents moving, their eyes glowing as if alive. The hum became a chant, ancient and unbroken, echoing from stone to stone. Lena held her torch higher, her heart racing. This is no tomb, she said. It is a beacon. The crystal sphere pulsed again, brighter than before, and with each pulse the ground shook. The golden walls glowed like fire, and the chamber felt alive with energy. Lena, Ravi, and Thomas stood frozen, caught between awe and fear as the tomb of the feathered serpent awakened fully for the first time in centuries. Outside, the jungle trembled. Birds fled in clouds, animals ran through the undergrowth, and far above, the stars seemed to shift in strange patterns. The call of the tomb had been sent, reaching far beyond the earth. And somewhere in the sky, something was listening. The golden light from the crystal sphere did not fade. It rose like a pillar through the ceiling of the chamber, piercing stone as though it were glass, then climbing higher into the sky. Lena shielded her eyes from the brightness. The hum inside the tomb deepened, becoming a steady roar. The air pressed heavy on their chests, and their skin tingled as if charged with unseen fire. Ravi stumbled backward. His torch flickered wildly, but even its flame looked pale compared to the glow around them. It is calling, he whispered. The beacon is sending a message into the heavens. Thomas tightened his grip on his machete, though it looked useless against such power. His dark eyes flicked between the glowing walls and the sphere above. A call is also an invitation. Something will come. The three stood in silence, staring upward as the light grew brighter still. Dust rained down, but the structure held, solid and unyielding. Lena felt her heart beating in rhythm with the hum, as though the tomb had reached inside her body and claimed it. Then the rumble of the earth began to fade. The sphere dimmed slowly until the chamber was quiet once more. Only faint golden veins pulsed in the stone, glowing like breath in the dark. Lena lowered her torch. Her voice was steady but filled with wonder. It is done. Whatever the Maya built this for, it has been awakened. Ravi looked toward the doorway. If the call reached beyond the earth, something may already be on its way. Outside, the jungle had fallen silent. Not even the buzz of insects remained. The air was heavy, too still, as though the entire forest was holding its breath. The three of them emerged from the pyramid and looked skyward. At first, there was nothing. The morning sun still burned over the canopy, painting the world in gold and green. Then the light changed. Shadows stretched strangely, and the sky seemed to ripple as if made of water. A low hum rolled across the heavens, deeper than thunder but steady, like the sound of great wings moving through unseen air. Lena gasped. Above the treetops, the clouds parted. A shape descended, vast and gleaming. It was no bird, though its outline suggested feathers of light. It was no machine of human design either. The vessel shone with golden patterns that shifted and moved as though alive. Its wings were formed from energy, bright as the sun, spreading wide across the sky. The sky god, Thomas whispered. His voice trembled, not with disbelief but with recognition. The ship slowed, hovering above the pyramid. Its presence was immense, pressing down on them like a storm. From its underside, a beam of light stretched to the ground, bathing the steps of the pyramid in brilliance. The hum from the tomb answered, rising again to meet the vessel's call. The beam widened, and within it a figure began to form. It stepped out of the light with calm, graceful movements. The being was tall, its body wrapped in flowing patterns that shimmered like molten gold. Its face was covered by a mask shaped like a serpent, feathers rising from its head in radiant arcs. When it spoke, the sound was not a voice but a vibration that entered their minds. The tribute has been lit, the call has been answered. The feathered serpent rises once more. Lena's breath caught. The words carried meaning, though the being spoke no human tongue. She stepped forward despite the weight in her chest. "Who are you?" The figure turned its golden mask toward her. "I am of the sky. My people once came to your world." The gold was given, as promised. It sustained our journey and our lives. Then the flow ended. The beacon was dark. We waited. "Now you have called again." Ravi swallowed hard. "The tomb was built for you." "Yes," the being replied. Its voice was both calm and commanding. "It is not a tomb, but a gateway. The gold within these walls is fuel, a gift for the sky god who protects and guides." Tomas stepped forward at last, his machete lowered but still in hand. The Maya gave until they could give no more. "Why did you not leave them in peace?" The figure's eyes glowed faintly behind the mask. "Peace is found in balance. We require, they provide. In return, knowledge was given, wisdom of the stars, the gift of sight beyond the earth. This is the way of survival." Lena studied the being. Its words were steady, almost reasonable, yet something in them felt wrong. "And if we refuse?" she asked. The air trembled with the weight of silence. The being did not move, but the golden light around it flared. Refusal was never given before. "The tribute is not request but law. If you awaken the beacon, you accept the covenant." Ravi's hands shook as he gripped his notes. "What if we cannot pay?" The being tilted its head. "Then the fire of the sky will claim what is owed." The words fell like stone. Lena's heart pounded. She looked back at the pyramid, at the glowing veins of gold running through its walls. The treasure hidden here was not for human hands. It was for them, the visitors from the sky. But she saw something else too. Fear in Thomas's eyes, doubt in Ravi's trembling hands. The being expected submission, as though humanity would kneel as the Maya once had. Lena straightened her shoulders. "We are not the same as those before. If you want our gold, you will give something greater in return." The being turned to her fully. For the first time, its voice carried a trace of surprise. "You dare to bargain?" Lena's voice did not falter. "We dare to choose." The air around them pulsed, golden light rising and falling. For a moment, the jungle seemed to lean closer, listening to the words that hung between human and sky god. The covenant was no longer simple. A new path had begun. The golden figure stood tall at the base of the pyramid, its radiant feathers spread wide like wings of fire. The jungle seemed to bow in silence. Even the air felt thick, charged with the presence of something not of this world. Lena held her ground, though her heart pounded in her chest. She had spoken boldly, and now the sky god, as Thomas called it, was watching her with glowing eyes. The air pulsed faintly with each breath of the being, as if the world itself waited for its answer. "You speak of choice," the being said, its voice echoing inside their minds. "Yet choice must be proven. Words are simple, but strength of spirit is not. If you claim to bargain, then show you are worthy. Show you are more than those who gave before." The ground shook and the golden beam that had carried the being to earth widened, spreading across the pyramid steps. The carvings along the stone walls shifted as if alive. Serpents curling, feathers spreading. A low hum filled the air again, deep and steady. Ravi gripped his pack tighter. "It is changing the pyramid. It is preparing something." Thomas placed a hand on his machete but did not move forward. His gaze was sharp. "This is a trial. We are to be measured." The being raised one arm and light poured from its hand, striking the pyramid's carvings. At once, the golden patterns spread across the platform where the human stood. A circular design formed beneath their feet, glowing brighter and brighter. "You will be tested," the sky god said. "Courage, mind, and unity. Fail, and you will kneel as all others knelt. Succeed, and we shall speak as equals." The circle blazed, and the world seemed to vanish. When Lena opened her eyes, she found herself in a vast chamber, though she knew her body had not truly moved. The walls shimmered like glass, showing glimpses of stars, rivers, and mountains, as if all of nature had been drawn together in one place. Ravi stood to her left, Thomas to her right. The sky god appeared before them, tall and glowing. The being gestured, and 3 paths opened from the chamber. Each was different. One was filled with firelight and shadows that moved like beasts. Another was lined with puzzles carved into shifting stone, symbols glowing faintly. The last was a narrow bridge over endless darkness, swaying as though made of wind itself. 3 trials, the being said. Face them together. Fail in one and you prove unworthy. Lena took a steady breath. Then we faced them. They stepped toward the first path. At once, flames burst to life, roaring high along the walls. Shapes moved in the fire, serpents of smoke with eyes that gleamed. Thomas raised his machete, but Lena stopped him. They are not real, she said. They are meant to frighten us. Still, the fire grew hotter, the smoke thicker. The serpent shapes lunged, hissing loudly. Ravi faltered, stumbling back. It feels real. If I step into it, I will burn. Lena closed her eyes. Her instincts told her the trial was not of body, but of courage. She stepped forward, straight into the fire. Heat rushed against her skin, but no pain followed. The flames bent around her as if bowing. She reached the end of the path unharmed. Come, she called. Thomas and Ravi followed, and though fear gripped them, the fire did not harm them either. Together they crossed the path of flame. The second trial awaited, walls of shifting stone covered in glyphs. Each time they stepped forward, the symbols moved, creating patterns that did not match. A great door stood at the end, locked by the puzzle. Ravi's eyes lit with understanding. This is for me. I must read the pattern. He knelt before the glyphs, tracing them carefully. They speak of the serpent and the circle of balance between sky and earth. If we place the symbols wrong, the walls may close on us. Minutes stretched as Ravi worked. The walls shifted slowly, threatening to seal the path. Sweat beaded his forehead, but his hands remained steady. Lena and Thomas pressed against the walls, holding them back as long as they could. At last, Ravi found the order, aligning the serpent with the rising sun. The door blazed with golden light and opened. They stepped through together, relief filling their lungs. The final trial waited. A narrow bridge stretched across endless darkness. No rails, no ropes, only a thin path that swayed as if made of smoke. The wind howled from below, carrying whispers in 1,000 voices. Thomas stepped forward first, his balance strong. He moved slowly, one step at a time. Lena followed, her heart hammering as the bridge shifted beneath her feet. Behind her, Ravi trembled, clutching his pack close. Do not look down, Thomas called. Look ahead, always ahead. Halfway across, the whispers grew louder. They spoke in voices Lena recognized, her own doubts, her own fears. You will fall. You cannot lead. You will fail them, she clenched her jaw. These are lies, she said aloud. We walk together and we will reach the end. She stretched a hand back for Ravi. He hesitated, shaking, but then placed his hand in hers. Together, step by step, the three of them crossed the bridge. When they reached the end, the chamber dissolved into light. They stood once more on the pyramid's platform. The circle beneath their feet dimmed, leaving only the sky god before them. The being's golden mask tilted as if in thought. You have faced fear with courage. You have answered confusion with wisdom. You have crossed darkness with unity. This has not been done before. Its voice carried not command this time, but respect. Lena lifted her chin. Then we are worthy to speak as equals. For the first time, the sky god's feathers dimmed slightly, not in weakness but in recognition. Perhaps humanity is more than tribute. Perhaps humanity is promise. The test had ended, but the true choice still waited ahead. The air above the pyramid shimmered with golden light. The sky god stood before the humans, its feathers glowing like burning stars, its serpent mask reflecting the morning sun. The trials were complete, but the silence that followed felt heavier than the tests themselves. The being watched them, waiting for their next words. Lena stepped forward. Her boots scraped the stone as she stood tall against the towering figure. Fear trembled in her chest, yet she refused to let it show. She had seen the sky god's power, but she had also seen how it measured them, how it expected obedience. You called for tribute, Lena said firmly. But we are not servants. Humanity will not kneel. If you want gold, you must give something greater in return. The being tilted its head, golden feathers rippling like sunlight through water. Its voice entered their minds again, steady but sharper now. The Maya did not bargain. They gave as law demanded. Why do you resist what was always given? Thomas stepped beside Lena, his machete still in hand, though he knew it would do little. Because we are not the Maya. We are their children, but we have grown. We will not live in fear of fire from the sky. Ravi, though trembling, added, If gold is fuel, then trade for it. Offer us knowledge, not chains. The sky god was silent for a long moment. The jungle winds shifted, rustling the trees. Finally, the being raised one arm. Light spilled outward, shaping visions in the air. Planets appeared, burning suns, and vast ships moving between the stars. They looked like winged serpents of metal and light, gliding through the endless dark. "My people," the being said, "are wanderers. The gold you value as treasure is life to us. It burns in our vessels. It powers our journey between the stars. Without it, we fall silent. Without it, we die." Lena stared at the vision. She felt the weight of the truth, but she did not bow. "Then you are not gods. You are travelers like us. If you need us, then you must treat us as equals. You cannot take without giving." The vision faded. The golden feathers dimmed slightly, then flared again with sharp brilliance. "You dare to speak as though we are the same?" the being asked. "Yes," Lena answered. Her voice did not break. "Because humanity will not kneel again. We dream beyond survival. We seek the stars, not only with fear but with hope. If you want gold, then share your knowledge of the sky. Give us the paths between worlds." Thomas folded his arms, standing beside her. "A fair trade. You take but you give. That is balance," Ravi nodded, though his hands still shook. "Without balance, we will fight even if it destroys us." The being's golden mask turned toward each of them in silence. The air pulsed heavier, pressing on their skin. Then the sky god lifted both arms and the pyramid shook again. From the ground rose new beams of light, carving symbols in the air above them. Stars arranged themselves into maps, their lines glowing like fire. Strange pathways connected them, spirals and arcs that bent across space. "These are the star lanes," the being said. "Hidden rivers between the suns. Few are given knowledge of them. They shorten journeys across the void. With them you may leave your small world and step into the true sky." The maps glowed brighter, filling the horizon. Lena's eyes widened, her breath caught in wonder. Humanity had dreamed of such paths for centuries, yet here they were, offered in golden light. But the being's voice hardened. "Understand this. The lanes are dangerous. Others watch them. Others who once gave and once failed.
They will not welcome you.
If you take this gift, you take the burden as well. Your kind will be hunted as we are hunted. Your world will no longer be hidden." The maps pulsed once more, then faded into the air. Only faint sparks remained, glowing like fireflies around them. Lena stepped closer, her voice quiet but unshaken. "Then we accept the danger. We will not hide. Humanity was chosen not because we kneel, but because we dare to rise." The sky god lowered its arms. The glow of its feathers dimmed, not in weakness, but as if in thought. "No other has spoken this way. No other has risked what you risk now. Perhaps humanity is more than tribute. Perhaps you are dreamers, as the ancients claimed." Thomas spoke softly yet firmly. "Then honor us as dreamers. Trade with us, do not rule us." The golden figure was silent once more. Then slowly it bowed its head. Only slightly, but enough for them to see. "The covenant is changed," it said. "Gold for knowledge. Tribute for paths. This is your gambit, human. May your courage endure when the stars awaken to your voice." The being stepped back into the golden beam. The light rose, carrying it upward toward the hovering vessel above. The ship's radiant wings spread wider, shimmering with power. Slowly it lifted higher into the sky, its glow fading as it vanished beyond the clouds. The jungle was quiet again, but the silence was different. Not heavy, not fearful, expectant, as if waiting for what would come next. Lena turned to her companions. Ravi's eyes were wide with awe, Thomas' jaw set with determination. She felt the same fire burning within herself. They had not just uncovered a tomb. They had opened a door to the universe. For the first time, humanity had bargained with the gods of the sky, and won. The golden vessel disappeared into the sky, leaving only faint trails of light that shimmered before fading into the clouds. The jungle breathed again. Birds called from the trees, monkeys cried out, and the sound of the river returned. Yet nothing felt the same. The air carried a weight of new purpose, as if the world itself had shifted. Lena stood on the pyramid steps, her chest rising and falling with deep breaths. She stared at the empty sky, where moments before the sky god had hovered. Her hands trembled, not with fear now, but with the memory of what had been given. The star lanes, the hidden roads between suns. Humanity had dreamed of them for centuries, and now the dream was real. Thomas broke the silence first. He lowered his machete and looked at Lena with steady eyes. "We spoke as equals, and it listened. You changed the covenant." Ravi stepped forward, still clutching his pack of notes. His face was pale, but his eyes shone with excitement. "We must record everything. The map, the trials, the vision of the star lanes. This cannot be hidden. The world must know." Lena nodded, though her thoughts were heavy. "Yes, but we must also be careful. The sky god warned us. Others will come. Not all will bargain. Some may take what they want. We are stepping into a larger world, one that is not kind to the weak. The three of them descended the pyramid slowly. Each step felt like a farewell, as though the ancient stones themselves knew their secret was no longer safe. At the base, they paused to look back. The golden veins in the wall still pulsed faintly, but softer now, as though the tomb was returning to sleep. Thomas spoke softly, almost to himself. It is not only a tomb or a beacon. It is a promise. The Maya left this behind so their children would one day choose, and we have chosen. Lena placed a hand on the stone, feeling the faint hum beneath her palm. Yes, we answered not with fear, but with courage. That is the human answer. They set out into the jungle, their packs heavier with more than tools and notes. They carried knowledge that could change the fate of the world. The trek back was difficult, but each step seemed lighter, filled with purpose. The jungle that had once felt threatening now seemed like a guardian, its sounds no longer whispers of warning but songs of witness. At night, as they camped, Lena sat awake by the fire. She looked at the stars peeking through the canopy. They seemed brighter than before, alive with movement. She imagined ships gliding along the hidden paths, civilizations waiting on distant worlds. For the first time, she felt both small and infinite at once. Ravi joined her by the flames, his notebook open. What if humanity is not ready? He asked quietly. What if we cannot handle what waits beyond? Lena thought for a long moment before answering. No one is ever truly ready, but we learn by stepping forward. If we wait for perfect strength, we will never rise. The sky god did not choose us for perfection. It chose us because we try. Ravi smiled faintly, his hands still scribbling. Then that will be my first line. Humanity is chosen not because we kneel, but because we dream. Thomas stirred awake, his voice low. Dreaming is not enough. We must protect our world too. If others come, we will need to stand together. Yes, Lena agreed. The gift is also a warning. The stars are beautiful, but they are not empty. We must be brave, and we must be wise. Days later, when they finally reached the edge of the jungle, the world beyond seemed different. The villages they passed, the towns in the distance, even the faraway cities, all of them looked fragile, unaware of the sky's secrets. Yet Lena also saw strength in them. People planting crops, children laughing, elders telling stories. These were the roots of humanity, and now those roots would reach for the stars. When they returned to the capital, news spread quickly. Scientists, leaders, and explorers listened in awe as Lena, Ravi, and Thomas shared what they had seen. Some doubted, some feared, but many felt the same fire. Humanity had been offered a place among the stars, not as servants, but as dreamers. The message Lena gave was simple. She stood before them all and spoke clearly. We are not chosen because we are flawless. We are chosen because we rise after we fall. We dare to bargain when others bow. We dream beyond the walls of the earth. That is our answer to the sky gods. We are human, and we will not be silent in the stars. Her words echoed across nations. They inspired some to build, others to prepare, and many to hope. The golden maps of the star lanes were studied, drawn again and again until their meaning was clear. Humanity's first steps into the wider universe had begun, but Lena knew the true test was still ahead. The sky god had warned of others. The star lanes would bring opportunity, but also danger. Some civilizations might welcome them, but others might see humanity as nothing more than another source of tribute. Still, as she looked once more at the night sky, she felt no fear. She remembered the fire, the puzzles, the bridge of darkness. They had faced the trials of the tomb together, and they had not failed. If humanity stood together, they could face whatever waited. The tomb of the feathered serpent returned to silence in the jungle, its golden veins fading into the stone. But its purpose had been fulfilled. The beacon had been answered, and the gift had been given. And above the earth, unseen by most, the stars shifted once more, as if opening their arms to a new voice rising among them. Humanity's voice, the human answer.